Shalom. All praises, all power, all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Racha, Kwadash. Yahweh being the name of the Father who the world may calls God. Yahweh, meaning he exists. Bahashem, meaning in the name. Yahushai, who the world may calls Jesus Christ. Yahushai, meaning he is salvation. Bahashem, in the name. Rakaha Kodash, Spirit Holy. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teach one and rule, who taught me this truth. Peace and salutation to the Akyam, fellow laborers, the whole prolect, pushing this truth of risk of the whole night to the four corners of the earth. To the Akwathim listening, learning, sincerity, and the truth and the silence. Shalom. Akyam meaning brothers, Akwathim meaning sisters, Shalom meaning peace be unto you. It's your brother Shema from the GMS Toronto camp here in Toronto, here with another lesson. Right? Ballot box fires across U.S. spark alarm. Domestic tease. Right, and this is from the Newsweek, October 29th, 2024, the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble coming to pass. Right, and this is just another example of another of multiple polycrises taking place within America. Let's get a scripture. All right, because we're in evil times. Ephesians. We're in evil times, and unless you have the eye salve to discern what is going on, right? Like the scripture says, in Ecclesiastes. I'm just going in the spirit. Right, because we're in some serious times, right? The times where, listen, we are in the valley of the shadow of death. Every day we step outside of our door, we can be judged, man. Right, and we're about to go into some real savage times. Ecclesiastes 9, verse 12, and it reads, "For man also knoweth not his time." Right, we don't know our time, man. You could get up and you say, I'm gonna go out and grab a coffee. Right, man knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in an evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snare, so are the sons of men snared in an evil time, when it falleth suddenly upon them. Right, we are in the times where judgment comes suddenly. Right, scary times. Right, and the more and more, listen, election is next week. Right, these wicked elites are stirring the pot. I want to get that scripture in Sirach 5. I want to hold it. Sirach 5 and 7. I'm going to hold on to it. I want to read this Ephesians 5. Ephesians 5, verse 15, and it reads, "See then that ye walk circumspectly." right? Us in this truth. See then that ye walk circumspectly. Circumspect means to look around, right? When we out here, our heads aren't in our phones, right? You take a look around you on your day to day when you're out in these streets, on the plantation, going about your day to day. Everybody's heads down looking in their phone, man. People are oblivious to what's going on around them. They're being constantly entertained, constantly stimulated. Their senses are in overload, looking at these phones, right? Not being aware of what's going on around them. Not as fools, but as wise. And who are the fools? 2/3 of our people, right? Heathen nations forget about it. But 2/3 of our people, they're fools. They're caught up in folly. But as wise, and who are the wise? The elect. The elect's heads on swivel, redeeming the times, right? Verse 16, redeeming the time because the days are evil, right? Knowing what time they're in, man. Evil. Evil meaning bad times. Verse 17, wherefore be ye not unwise, right? Be wise. Be sober, right? Spiritually, right? As well as in this flesh, don't be out here being a rumhead, right? Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. And right, and what is the will of the Lord? Right? To bring judgment to this place, Babylon the Great, but leading up into it, going into a time like no other, going into a time of trouble, Jacob's trouble, right? These political parties, the right and the left, right? Esau stirring them up. It says here, elected officials and commentators are labeling Salakia Monday's ballot box arsons in Washington and Oregon as acts of domestic tea. Washington Secretary of State Steve Hobbs denounced the attacks as acts of tea aimed at destabilizing the democratic process. The fires erupted early Monday morning, one in a ballot box in Portland, Oregon, where a fire suppression system protected most of the ballots, and another in Vancouver, Washington, where hundreds of ballots were destroyed after a similar device was used, but the suppression system failed. We take the safety of our election workers seriously and will not tolerate threats or acts of violence that seek to undermine the democratic process, right? And that's what this is all about. You're going to have the right and the left, one saying that the democratic process is being undermined, the other one saying that it's valid, right? What's that going to lead to? Upwards of the people, right? Remember that movie, Civil War, which came out around March of this year? There's a scene where the one of the soldiers, because the soldiers were fighting soldiers on American soil. But there's a scene where a soldier says, "What kind of American are you?" Right? And this soldier was in the midst of dumping bodies into a ditch. American bodies, civilians. Hobbs said in an official statement, assuring the public of its complete confidence in election security. Hobbs later posted on X, formerly known as Twitter, stressing that those responsible for this Tea Act knew the damage it would cause and encouraging voters to exercise their right to vote as a show of resilience. In her blog, Civil Discourse, former U.S. Attorney Joyce Vance labeled the attacks domestic tea, writing, "It's important for us to call this what it is, an attack on democracy." She argued that such incidents aim to deter voting and to cast doubt on election integrity. I want to get a scripture, right? How can Satan cast out Satan? Mark 3, verse 23, and it reads, "And he called them unto him and said unto them in parables, How can Satan cast out Satan? And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand." Right? America the Great, Babylon the Great is divided. Democrats, Republicans, they're divided right down the middle. Right? One saying that the democratic process is playing out. Another one saying that the democratic process is being is losing its integrity. It's been compromised. Right? And this is what these elites want. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. Right? America the Great is a house divided against itself right now. How is I saying here in the red letter? That house can't stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand but hath an end. Right? And ultimately, what's the end of America? What is the end of America the Great, Babylon the Great, according to Scripture? Thermonuclear intercontinental ballistic missiles. Right? Verse 27. No man can enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he will first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house. Right? So what we see happening with America the Great right now, she's being dismantled. She's being bound. Right? America the Great being the strong man. Right? It says here, first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house. Scripture just came to mind. Right? Because these other nations, listen, all eyes, America the Great's on is under a spotlight. Isaiah 33:1, it says here, the judgment of Yahweh Shai. Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou was not spoiled. Woe means destruction. And who's been the great spoiler? Right? Rome 2.0, the revised Roman Empire, America the Great, Babylon the Great. And dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. Right? We just read in the scripture. You must first bind the strong man. Right? Right. You have all these spoil means to take, to rob. Right? You have all these the southern border has been letting migrants in steady for the better part of three years, maybe 4 years. Right? There's all kinds of sleeper cells in America the Great, Babylon the Great. Goes on to read here, only cowards attack elections, Vance wrote. True public servants, leaders, running them based on their ideas, their policies, and their personal appeal. Hoodlums resort to attacks against mail-in and drop-off voting, Salakia. Two tested applications that make it easier for more eligible voters to participate in elections. I think that's it on that, man. Yeah, that's it on that. But the the seeds are being planted, man. You know, the integrity of this upcoming election will be questioned. Right? Right. This is all controlled opposition. Right. This is the elites going to work. Right. And the people are going to continue to be more and more aggressive in their stance. Right. Yeah. You have to remember one thing. Babylonians have the most. They're the most armed. Uh, they have the most armed civilian population uh, on the planet. Right. So when all hell breaks loose, when the bottom falls out, when purge light activities start taking place, it's gonna be um, chaos. So with that, all praises, all power, all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone will teach you and rule well. Shalom to the hopeful elect.